A while back, I began building this massive base, and today we're going to double its size, as well as I finally reveal the huge project I'm building inside, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Welcome to episode 9 of Crowns of Fire.
First of all, we're going to have to change up the way this is a little bit and add a bit of shaping to it, because just it being this flat top here isn't going to look so good once we get all the detailing in. So we're going to shape the top of it a little bit, and then we will add in the next layer. Alright, so I've been working a little bit, and I came up with this design here, and so far I'm really liking the way it's turning out. So I'm going to surround the entire base with this, and we'll see how that goes.
Alright, so we've gotten this around the whole base, and I must say it looks amazing. It took a lot of blackstone that I didn't quite have yet, so I had to collect that. And now we have 12 shulker boxes of this smooth basalt, which is extremely good for our color palette. And we're going to go through and build this up about another 40 blocks or so, and about 20,000 blocks in total. So let's get through that by doing this quick time lapse, and then I have a lot more to show you guys. Last episode, I did say we would be adding a new player this episode, but due to some difficulty with scheduling and just some technical stuff, he was unable to join this week, but we should have him on next week, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Alright, now we've placed over 20,000 blocks to get this portion of the base done, and oh boy, I couldn't be happier. It looks great, the texturing on top has come out amazing, and the size of it just adds to everything so well. We'll be doing the next section out of tough here soon, but I do have to collect all of that, which is about 15 or so shulker boxes, so that may be a bit. But this is going to go up to at least double its current size, probably a little bit more. And then we have some really cool detailing to do on the outside, which I will get to in future episodes. But I haven't settled on exactly what I'm going to be doing yet, so I still have to do some testing for that. Now, we also have a design for something going inside that I haven't quite revealed yet, which I am about to. I have this giant shell of a base currently, with nothing inside. So today, I think it's finally time we began to build the secret project that goes inside. So first of all, I gotta build up a little structure here to fit some things inside of, mainly some redstone machines, before we can actually get to what's gonna be in here. But what it's essentially gonna be is a gigantic game that fills up this entire base, and it's gonna be a huge map with its own full level progression, stat counters, all kinds of really cool stuff, including a seed generator so that the map will never be quite the same as it was before. This is just so that the players have more variety in their runs, and it's not quite the same every time they play, and keeps interest in the game for a little while longer. I've named this game Dungeon Run, and it takes a very long time to complete. Each player will take upwards of a month or 3 to finish. It's mainly a skill-based game. You can get quite lucky on certain runs, but to complete the game, you are going to have to be very, very good at it, because when you die on a run in the dungeon, you lose all of your XP for that run and have to restart to grind it back out. This project is also going to take me many months to build because it is absolutely gigantic and fills up my base. So you're going to have to wait to see it fully in action until I can get that done. Now that we got this little platform built, we're going to build up some walls and just decorate this place a little bit better before we get into building up a lot of the redstone components for this game, which are going to be considerable. Alright, now that we've built up a little bit of decoration for this, I'm going to discuss what each thing does real quick. What you can see behind me is a stat counter. So they'll have 5 different stats with 6 levels each. These are going to be used for just staying alive in the dungeon a little while longer. This behind me now is the entrance to the lobby, which is just going to be where players wait for it to be their turn or for the dungeon to reset. And then this is the level counter. This is one of my more impressive things. It will keep track of your player level separate of other players' level and will influence everything in the game. It's really neat once it's done, but that's going to take a lot of building up of redstone contraptions inside to finish. This over here on the left is where you will select your difficulty, and on the right is where it will display the difficulty. And the little hole nearer to the floor there is the entrance to the actual dungeon, and I can't help but noticing it looks a little bit like a face, which I'm not sad about. Alright, so we've gotten some of the redstone in behind all of this, and we've decorated up a little bit more with the redstone lamps so you can see what your levels are going to be and what your stats are going to be, as well as we've also pathed out some of the sections so that we know where they're going to be. Let's get into that real quick. The first part of this is the stat counter. So you'll have different stats such as speed, which may increase your speed. Maybe at the wrong time, you might run into lava, but at the right time, it might jet you past some terrible mob that you need to get through. And then over here, the level counter. It will go up a level every time you gain enough XP. The XP counter is something I'm going to have to invent later because it is a little bit more complicated. But you complete quests, bring them back, deposit them into your generator, and then you will receive a certain amount of XP that will contribute to giving you your next level. We've also put in a bunch of redstone behind this machine so that it will actually function in a fraction of what it's supposed to do. Later, I'll get everything needed for this to fully function put in, but that's a lot of stuff to do, and it will have to come in a later video, sadly. So make sure and keep an eye out for when that video releases. As you can probably see here, we have a weird redstone contraption that essentially allows the player to level up and change this clock without being reset or anything. It just sets your level and saves it in a machine. Now, we don't have anything too complex back here, just a few simple circuits to allow the player to level up and to display their levels. So what happens here is whenever you put a block here, it will lock this hopper using this comparator and this repeater to power the piston. So now the only hopper that can receive anything is the one in front of it, and it will fill up on just one item. This is extremely useful if you're wanting something that will count levels or something like that. And then it'll send out a signal that will reach only one redstone signal to the red decoder over here, which is an extremely helpful machine that I wouldn't have been able to do any of this without. What this whole machine here does is display the level based on a redstone signal hitting these blocks. Because we have the filled up hopper 15 blocks away, it allows it to fill up and send a redstone signal of 1, therefore displaying a 1 on our number counter. Now, if we go through here, you can see I've started laying down a few pathways and a few little circles. These circles are going to be the rooms of the dungeon, and then the few little blocks that you can see sticking up here are going to be used for doors. These will lock with a certain seed, so you cannot use that path. There will be other paths, so you can always get where you need to go. This way it doesn't give you a quest that's just impossible to complete. But the seed generator will generate a seed and block off a bunch of these doors, making it where certain areas are just completely inaccessible. But the seed generators on a maxed leveled dungeon run will only be the same one time out of 4.7 billion times, which is much more than I was actually expecting. But I'm really happy with it because it makes it where the experience is a lot more random and the players are going to have a lot of fun with the map kind of being a bit confusing and not exactly memorizable. Now, I do have a lot of redstone to put in here to be able to make a seed generator, and that seed generator to actually activate only certain parts of the dungeon, and then we also have to make quests, which will go inside of the larger rooms, and if you complete the quest you're given at the beginning of the game and escape alive, you'll receive a certain amount of XP. The higher the difficulty, the more XP you'll receive for said quest. And each of these little rooms is going to take a bit, but we're going to fill up this entire base with these rooms. So that's going to take a little bit, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun when it's done.
If you want to see how this game evolves and changes throughout the process of building it, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell to keep up to date with all my videos.
I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Crowns of Fire, and I'll see you next week.